Yan, I can record. Okay, magandang buhay. Magandang buhay.
Mabuting tao po.
Mabuting tao
Hi,
po.
good afternoon. So
Mabuting
nice to
tao
meet
po.
you. Wait, there's a message here from Erica. Good afternoon. Di daw makakatid sa rain due to slow internet connection. Oh, to those who cannot attend due to poor connection, you can just view the recorded session during your free time. No problem with that. Anyway, I'm not giving real-time requirements naman so that you will not have a hard. Well, let's start. I have a lot of things to discuss. Right, what do you see on your screen?
Understanding bias and prejudices po.
Understanding bias and prejudices. Right, let's discuss this. So to begin this lesson, picture perception test. What words that come to your mind upon seeing this? Anyone? You can answer, no? You can. What words that come to your mind when you see this picture? Sandali. Naalis naman yung connection. Oh, sorry for that. Oh, meron pang isa nasa waiting room si Princess. Yan. Si Christian. All right, what do you see on your screen? What do you see on your screen just to check if we are on the same page?
Picture perception.
Okay.
Picture perception test.
All right. So what words come to your mind upon seeing this picture? If you will see that man, what comes to your mind? What is your general perception? What's your general impression? Yes, Karil.
I feel like he's goofy, sir.
All right. How about the others? Come on, be honest, especially if you have a classmate like that. No. How about Chelsea?
Nerd.
Chelsea, go.
Nerd po, sir.
A nerd, correct. That's the common impression, no? When a student or a person wears big eyeglasses with that distorted hairstyle with that type of figure. Always, as you can see in the television and on, your impression is always a nerd. How about this one? These people, especially considering our own culture. What words come to your mind upon seeing this? Especially in the news. What's your impression about those? In general, those type of Muslims. Anyone? Well, let me call on those one. Or Raisa May, Diwa.
Para pong rally.
Rally, actually, that's still a good, decent answer. Pero yes, Luna. You're raising.
Troublemaker po, sir.
Actually, sad to say, you're still very But others who are very judgmental, their perception about this are like terrorists. Terrorists, no? I remember when during that time, some of my students, when they're bullying one another, they're calling their other classmates na ISIS members. ISIS, no? Especially those bullying the class. So this is the impression, as if when they see this type of persons, automatically some have those impressions in their mind. Now, where do those labels, first impressions come from? Like Muslims, some of us associate them with terrorists. Those who wear eyeglasses, we often call them as nerds. Actually, this is what we call stereotypes in psychology. Basically, stereotypes are simply labels. Labels that we put to a person, object, or an event. Pero usually, it is harmful when we try to associate it with persons. Why? They are preconceived over generalized certain group of people. Or preconceived over generalized belief on a certain group of people possessing those traits. This is oftentimes due to the media. Just because, put it in Filipino, ganun ang parating nakikita mo in television, in media, in Facebook, to wherever you are exposed. Unconsciously, unknowingly, that idea is being formed in your mind that all of those type of people are like that. Just because in films, in news, Muslims that are being presented are doing act of terrorism, you tend to unconsciously associate that all Muslims, overgeneralization, all Muslims are terrorists. Just because in romantic comedies, in cartoons, in animes, you see those persons wearing big eyeglasses as nerds. Then every time that you encounter a person wearing eyeglasses, you think that he or she is a nerd. Whereas in reality, that is not the case. As they say, as one of my students commented, malay mo, malabo lang ang mata. Not necessarily the person, he or she is nerd. Is maybe suffering from a poor eyesight. So, those are what you call stereotypes, labels. No? Yung ating mga sa Filipino culture natin, mga pamansag natin. Now, so here are the other types of labels. Take a look at them. What's wrong? What's wrong with having labels or stereotypes? Why are, based on these general examples, why is it that you think carrying, having, or being unaware of stereotypes can be harmful to other people, especially the way how we treat or mingle with them? Anyone? Seeing these examples. Who is raising his? Yes, Karil.
It can cause insecurities po.
It can cause?
Insecurities po.
Yeah, insecurities and negative feeling for the person, because that person may feel he or she is being maligned, disrespected, or discriminated. No, for example, look at some of these. Look at some of these examples here. I wear what I want, so I must be a poser all the time. Or I wear black, so I must be an emo or god. Not necessarily. No, I'm a student, so I must be in debt. Now, that you do not feel that because of public education, but in some countries, in higher education and college, it is not free. The state, this trivia, the state will give subsidy actually in the form of a loan. So your college tuition fee is a loan that you need to pay to the government in some countries. Kaya if you're poor, you're already working, you're graduated, but you're paying your debt, your utang, your loan to the government. Hindi libre. No, I wear glasses, so I must be a geek. Now, these are labels. No, not everyone who possesses these characteristics can be associated with such. Or else, we will be discriminating and hurting other people. Now, try to watch this commercial and then try to detect what are the labels. This is now in Filipino culture. So please watch it.
It's a shame that there still is that double standard. Sayang daw ako, because I'm single. If a guy gets a girl pregnant, he's a stud, right? But if a girl gets pregnant, when the news spread of my pregnancy, we were like, sayang, she was at the top of her game. People immediately would make up stories about me or assume that I'm weird or a woman of the world. But I am very judged. Yes. But then it stopped me, no. It made me stronger, yes. And would keep me going, oh yes. Labels are a challenge. To me, it was challenge accepted. I wanted to show people that no matter what happens to you, it should never stop you from being successful. In the end, I've got to do whatever I wanted to do. And as an actress, I've never been happier. Being a single mom, it's really empowering because there's more purpose and nothing's greater than a mother's love. I'm blessed. Saya? I don't think so. Can you whip it? Because I did.
All right, were you able to hear and watch clearly the commercial, the short video clip?
Yes po, sir.
All right. Thanks. Now, let's know. Sorry. So let's try to process it. Based from the video, what are or what is or are the labels attached to the woman in the video? What comments do you hear from other people about the woman in the same situation as the actress? Anyone? What were the labels, the stereotypes that were attached to the person or to the actress in the commercial? Yes, Jason.
From the video that I watched, sir, nagkaroon po siya ng baby at a young age and meron pong stereotype dito po sa Pilipinas na kapag po nagkaroon po kayo ng baby at a young age, isip po nila sayang po kayo, wala pong mararating, parang worthless na po yun kasi po isip po nila wala pong mararating kasi po at a young age, akala po na hindi po kayang mag-raise po ng baby.
All right, you got it right. How about the others? You have other answers? Or you can perhaps give your own opinion or your own additional ideas before I give. What, any comment about the label that was presented, that was featured in the commercial? Yes, Raisa.
The woman in the video was labeled as beautiful and was called flirting.
Oh, yes.
She behaves seductively in the video po.
All right. Let me put that. I like the way how you speak in English, Raisa. Put it in Filipino because the woman in the video, the actress in the commercial got pregnant. No? For you to understand our stereotypes in our own Filipino culture. Kapag ang babae nabuntis, no? Na hindi pa kasal, lalo na worse when I was still teaching in college, na hindi pa tapos, hindi pa graduate. Oftentimes, just because in reality, there are a lot of cases that there's a lower chance, mababa na lang yung chance na makakapagtapusan. Most likely, hindi sila makakapagtapos ng pag-aaral, hindi makakagraduate. Kung hindi pa pakakasalan, magiging single parent or solo mom, no? At dahil nga hindi nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral, no? May anak na, puwersadong maghanap buhay, hanggang sa they will be stuck to that end. Tatanda na lang, they will become poor, and ultimately, they will reach nothing. They will achieve nothing in their life except being poor, being a common worker, single mom, struggling to the end. Kanya nga, the most common comment was, sayang, sayang, like what you have seen. But that is not always the case because hindi naman 100% predetermined that if that happens, automatically, that situation of failing is an automatic guarantee. No. Kanya nga you cannot overgeneralize. Pero kapag ka nangyari yun, we tend to attach yung comment na sayang, the stereotype. We have already an idea na, that girl will become a failure because of a simple wrong deed of engaging in premarital sex and being pregnant, no, before being married or before being engaged. But that is not always the case. Those are what you call stereotypes. Now, according to the woman, how should labels be treated or regarded? If you're experiencing stereotypes, if some people are attaching labels, and if you're already on the verge of being maligned, discriminated, how should you treat those labels? Because they are not pleasant experience. How should you deal with them? Actually, she used a beautiful term, a verb. How should you treat or deal with labels? Anyone? Oh, let's hear from women. Let's hear from women. Luna, kindly try.
Dapat po yung hindi niyo po hahayaan na parang kung ano-ano na lang po yung itatawag sa inyo, and dapat po yung parang ipo-prove niyo po sila na wrong po sila. Tsaka po, yung parang kausapin niyo po sila ng mas malumanay kasi po mas makikinig po sila sa ganong way, sir.
A good answer, but next time try to speak in English. Now, I know your idea is great. Anyone else who is raising his or her hand? Meron pa ba? How about Mads? Your idea?
Parang, don't let their judgment and stereotypes parang dictate what you do and your next actions para sa buhay niyo po. Parang, huwag niyo po hayaang ma-discourage kayo, just you do you. Parang ganun po.
Nice one. In reality, you cannot say that do not be affected. When you heard it already, you're already emotionally disturbed. Yung simple bullying, no? Simple comment lang na pang-inis, a simple prank, or simple tease, no? We tend to react. That's why you cannot say that do not be affected. You're affected, but lessen the effect and do not focus so much it. Instead, treat it as a challenge. As the commercial said, whip it out. Remove it from your system. Do not let those labels become your self-fulfilling reality. I repeat, do not let those labels become your self-fulfilling reality. You must prove them wrong. All the more that you should be determined. Because in reality, that should not be the case. I'm being reminded by Zoom, last 10 minutes. In any case, just enter again using the same ID. So let's continue. So bias and prejudices. What are they? Actually, bias is an unfair view for or against something. Prejudice is an unreasonable view based on preconceived ideas. If you try to see the definitions, they are almost similar, correct? As if they are 100% the same. Yes, you have ideas, no? They're using labels, bias and prejudice. But if we try to elaborate it, bias refers to a tendency to favor one person, group, and thing or a point of view another, often in an unfair way. It is an inclination for or against one person, group, or concept. Now, look at the examples. Assuming that a doctor is always a man and a nurse is always a woman, or ABC should be S. ABS-CBN reporters prefer to interview ABS-CBN celebrities than GMA celebrities. No? So that is bias. Later on, I will elaborate for you to get the difference. Prejudice is an unfavorable opinion of feeling formed beforehand without knowledge, thought, or reason. You are prejudging others. This always involve negative attitude towards a specific person or group. Example, black athletes often believe to be more athletic yet less intelligent than white or male counterparts. Or not hiring old worker, mga matatanda na, because the employer wants a younger looking person for the position. What's the key difference? Anyone, before I give the key difference, what's the key difference? They're almost the same, but there is a difference here between bias and prejudice. These two are the sources of stereotypes or labels. What do anyone try to guess? Plus, I'll give incentives. What's the key difference that you see? There's a slim dividing line between these two. Anyone? What's the difference between bias and prejudice? They're almost the same, but there's a thin difference. Mads, go.
Try ko po. Yung pong bias, yung parang kahit ano na pong knowledge na alam mo, parang nagsistay pa rin po kayo dun sa side ninyo. Then yung prejudice po, parang agad-agad na po kayo nag-judge and parang nagsistay sa isang side without knowing yung parang information about dun sa other side.
Yes, you're already you're almost a meter away from the correct answer. Anyone else who would like to try? Ano pinagkaiba in Filipino? What do you think is the difference between these two? They may look almost the same, but it is important that you should know the difference. None? All right, remember this. Which do you think between the two is always negative? Always more hostile? It involves a more higher degree of negative treatment attitude, bias or prejudice? Yes, Raisa. Yes,
Prejudice po.
It's prejudice. Correct. Remember, bias, it's the simplest word that I can give to that is being unfair. Always, there are two groups or two people or two entities, two individuals. Bias means you prefer, mas gusto mo yung isa, you prefer one group or person over the other. You're inclined, you're giving good treatment or ignoring or do not want others. No? That is why in classroom, the simple form of bias is when your teacher practices favoritism. May paborito siya. Silang parating tinatawag, binibigyan ng points, not giving the opportunity to others. Now, it does not mean that you are not preferring, hindi mo pinapansin, you do not give the opportunity, you have a negative, hostile, cruel treatment. Because prejudice is always like that. Prejudice does not mean na may paborito ka. Always, without knowing, without clear knowledge, negative na ang pagtingin mo, you have a negative attitude towards that person. That is why you tend to deprive them or be cruel or be harsh or not so good in dealing with them. That is, prejudice is more serious. Actually, it's more hostile than bias. Did you get it? Questions? Did you get the difference?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Ang prejudice ang bias, usually it involves two groups. You like one, you do not like the other. Kanya nga, inclined kasi siya. Prejudice doesn't mean not necessarily may two groups. But there's always this entity that without knowledge, without knowledge, without full knowing, always na because of your idea, you're prejudging it, negative na agad your treatment to that person or hostile or cruel. That is prejudice. Prejudice is more harmful actually than bias.
Yung parang settled na po yung opinion niyo.
Yes. So now, try to guess, interpret what are the harmful effects of bias and prejudice based on this graphic. Try to construct the idea. Sorry. Oh, yan. What do you think is the harmful effect of bias or prejudice? Anyone? Construct. Let me call others. Erica, try to decode based on this picture. What do you think are the harmful effects of bias and prejudice? Erica, Sophia. Let me call other students. Hello? Anyone? Are you still there? Anyone? How about Raisa? Go.
Biases and prejudice po affect our mental and physical and social well-being.
Yes, but that's correct. Make your answer more specific. Take a look at the man. How will you describe the man, especially his eyes? Use that idea to construct a far greater answer. Mads.
Parang pong para po siyang blinded by his judgment na po agad. Parang he refused to see the truth. Parang settled na nga po yung opinion niya, yung judgment niya sa isang bagay or tao.
Correct. Bias and prejudices blinds us. It makes us blind to what is the real identity, personality, condition, and status of another person. Kasi nga, rather than knowing or getting to know the reality of the person, we have already ideas, preconceived ideas in our mind, which most of the time, 98% of the time, are not true or correct. And yet we tend to cling to those ideas na nagre-reflect that reflects in our unfair, hostile, cruel, discriminatory treatment towards other people. That is the harmful effect. That's the most harmful part. We tend to exclude other people. So for us to have a good transition, let me stop this video for a while, less than a minute, and then enter again using the same ID.